Hey everybody, welcome back. So today we are going to be talking about We Can Be Mended, which is a short little epilogue that Veronica Roth released to the Divergent realm. Basically, anybody that pre-ordered her new book, Carve the Mark, had a time frame to... Oh my god. They had a time frame to submit the receipt showing that they pre-ordered the book, and in return of pre-ordering the book, we were going to get a printed book of the epilogue that she wrote. So basically it was a ploy to get her book pre-ordered enough to be on the best time sellers list, all that good stuff. Of course, I wasn't going to pre-order Carve the Mark. I was just going to buy it whenever I felt like it. But when I saw that she was doing this for We Can Be Mended, I decided to pre-order it, and obviously it's there. Today I got a package from Harper Teen. I totally forgot about this. It's been a month since Carve the Mark has been released, so I forgot about it. But this is the book. It's literally the size of my hand. Super thick. It's only 33 pages long. It took me about half an hour, 45 minutes to read this on my lunch break from work today. That's pretty much it. As you see, the font isn't that big, so it was a super easy read. In the inside of it, it says, here on the first page, it says, "Dear readers, I've always said that the Divergent series felt complete to me, but a little while ago I realized that there was still some of the story I had left untold. So I wrote something for myself about what Tobias had been up to in the years after Allegiant. Now I'm excited to finally have the opportunity to share with you the Divergent series epilogue, We Can Be Mended, Veronica." So basically this is Tobias' point of view. This takes place 5 years after the events of Allegiant. Spoilers if you haven't read the book. The main character dies at the end. I'm going to get into very much spoilers in the next thing, but all I have to say before review-wise we go into spoilers is very disappointed. I'm not the only one. This was very predictable from the very third page. I already knew at the end of it what was going to happen. That's pretty much it. I'm not the only one that was very disappointed with it. I was on Goodreads reviews and everybody was throwing a shit fit because of what happens. A lot of people were saying that this wasn't needed, that she shouldn't even write this. I agree, she could have just wrote this and posted it on Tumblr, but yet again, if this wasn't the reward for pre-ordering, then her book would have not gone to the best time. Not that I'm saying there's anything wrong with it, but if I would have known what this is, I would have waited until it was on the internet somehow, or I don't know. But yeah, that's pretty much the end of the non-spoiler review of this if you haven't read it. If you weren't able to get a copy of it, stay tuned. I'm going to be talking about it. I'm not going to read it word for word, page for page, but I am going to be reading a bit of it. So, bye non-spoiler people. Alright, here we go. So on the first page, when you get into it, it starts off, the 5-year reunion is coming up. So basically, it's been 5 years since Allegiant, since Trish died. This is basically Tobias dealing with it. It starts off with basically him talking about Christina and visualizing her, well not visualizing, watching, they're together talking, and he's basically checking her out and says, "Christina leans against the railing of the train platform, first bent, propped up by her elbows, and then straightening, pressing her hips to the railing for stability. Instead, her hair is longer now than it has been, densely curled and straight, standing straight out of her head. Sometimes she's wears wrapped in a scarf, a color for defiance of her dauntless history, but today it is loose." So basically, he's checking her out and looking at her. They start talking about here that different people of the factions no longer have to live in the Chicago society. They can come and go throughout the other cities. Philadelphia is even mentioned at a point within the 30 pages. There's no more factions. There's no more generic purity. So Chicago is open. They can come and go, live where they want. Other people from other cities are now coming here. The headquarters are now museums. So there's no Dauntless headquarters. There's no Abnegation. There's no Amenity. There's no Condor. None of that. They're all museums. Everybody wears basically is a factionist. They got all the colored clothing and just wears whatever. At one point in this, it says that he was wearing a white Condor shirt, Abnegation pants, and like Dauntless boots or something like that. And then this goes into saying the 5-year reunion is coming up. Tobias says yes, that sometimes he goes, sometimes he doesn't go to all the reunions. This year he wasn't sure if he was going. What else? And then Christina basically tells him, hey, Z keeps telling me that you go into the former Dauntless headquarters. What are you doing there? He basically tells her, like, oh, he keeps going back for the fear landscape. And she basically asks him why, and he just says, oh, because I keep going over my fears. They go into discussion of where Christina is telling him, hey, just by going back in there, are you going in there to see Trish, or are you going in there hoping your fears change? Something to that effect. He basically explains that that's not why he goes in there. It's not that I want to see her there. You'll think that I like watching her die over and over again. I just keep wanting to see if she'll still be there. I'm just waiting for the day when I'm past it, when I moved on. She laughs a little. Christina says, you're not going to get spontaneously past it. What about time heals? Four says. Time doesn't do shit, Christina sighs. And for a moment, she stands on her tiptoes, pressing over the railing like a Dauntless on a dare. But then she sinks back on her heels and looks at me sternly and says, think about moving on is more you have to move. And then he goes about saying Christina's right, that he goes to the fear landscape, but he doesn't explore the rest of the Dauntless compound. Skipping a paragraph. And here he goes and saying, I still have 4 fears. They are different than they were when Trish died 5 years ago. In the first, I fly high above the city in an airplane that has run out of fuel, and I tumble towards the ground with no chance of rescue. In the second, I am immobile as a dark force, usually with face of David or Marcus attacks the ones that I care about. In the third, I am in pain and there is no relief. All I can do is endure. In the fourth, she dies. So basically, he has 4 new fears. I don't remember the 4 original ones, but I know one was confinement of space. The other was killing somebody. His dad was one, and I can't remember heights. So I do remember the 4. He was scared of heights. Then he goes on to saying, it makes no sense to fear the worst when the worst has already happened. Death can't happen twice after all. It was me who told her that when she saw in simulations wasn't her literal fear playing out in front of her. And this goes on to him walking around the city. His new job, what he does is basically making sure the streets are not broken, blah blah. So basically just a bunch of useless information nobody cares about. Then it goes on to the reunion and how they're talking, and the reunion this year is at the Dauntless compound. Cal, Trish's brother, is still there. Zeke and Shauna are talking about having a child, and Kara and Matthew are getting married, blah blah blah. All this is just useless information. Evelyn comes back into it to talk to 4. That's just a bunch of talking, nothing good here. And then it comes back to Christina and Tobias. Basically, she told him to meet up. They met up, they talked some more. And then like the very last 2 pages, which is where it gets to the point where it was very predictable that I knew from the beginning by the way he was describing her. He went to go help her train, as she's the new trainer for the Peace Control Squad or whatever they were called. And then I'm trying to see where the week starts. Her eyes are bright with laughter. She gathers the wrap into her fist and shoves it into my cheek. I smack her hand away. She grabs mine, and then we were close. Sharing air, hands collapse, our knees touching, both smiling. Her smile fades, our hands come apart, but instead of shifting away, I touch her jaw, run my thumb over her cheek. Her skin is dotted with sweat, and my hand is still wrapped in black fabric, but I feel everything. This isn't some kind of experiment, is it? She says, to see if you've moved on. What? No, it's I'm just finally moving, I say, which is Tobias. I touch her lips with mine. It's quick, a scared peck, and I don't think she breathes the whole time. I know I don't. This okay, I say. She puts her hand over my wrist, pulls me towards her and smiles. Our foreheads touch. Yeah, it is. This time our lips met, and it's soft, and slowly it tastes salty. Her fingers hooked in my shirt, and she pins me to the mat. We fight all the time over whose turn it is to wash the dishes, blah, blah, blah. Basically, they're dating now, and it makes it sound like they're living together. And then the last paragraph on this page, which is page 31, it says, I still dream of Trish, sometimes even of her dying. I can tell Christina about it, and she doesn't take it personally, mostly unless she started to worry about something else. And then more random information that's useless. And then they talk about everything that happened back then. What is something good? We work and we dream, we fight and we laugh, and we fall in love, we move, and we meant. That's how it ends. So basically, nothing useful. Christina and Tobias 4 start dating, and I'm guessing later on they'll have babies and this and that. Predictable. So if you guys have any questions, leave it down below. Let's talk about it. What do you guys think? Yeah. Until next time, guys. Bye.